Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me on our webinar today on Medicare AEP is over. Now what? My name is Matt Alina, and I am the final expense life insurance sales manager here at URL Insurance Group. And I know that there's a million and one things that you probably should be doing, but I appreciate you taking the time to join me in today's presentation. I believe that you're going to have some good takeaways here, and at the end of the presentation, I will be taking any and all questions that you may have pertaining to this presentation or things that in ways in which I can help you. But Medicare season is over. How are you? How are you feeling? How's everybody feeling today? Are you glad that it's over? Is it a sense of relief? Did you have a good year? I think a lot of people are probably feeling tired and just kind of ready to wrap up 2019 and get ready for 2020. And that's really what this webinar is all about. It's about kind of wrapping up 2019 and getting ready to hit the gas pedal for 2020. And the things that we do in the next couple of weeks and even really into January, that's really what's going to help propel you into having a very successful 2020 year. And we're here to help you with that. We're here to walk together with you, run together, however you want to propel yourself, whether it's walking, running, jumping, whatever it is. We're ready to leap over tall buildings in a single bound with you. But really, the first step in the Medicare recovery is really more or less the time to recharge. There's nothing wrong with taking some time for yourself. We're in the middle of the holiday season. It's time to spend some quality time with family and friends, eat some great food, have some good drinks. Maybe it's going to the beach and recharging or going on a ski trip, whatever it is, even just getting a massage. You've worked hard, you get to play hard too. So make sure you're taking some time to recharge those batteries. A person that like yourself, a professional like yourself, if you're tired, you're not working at full capacity and you're not able to help your clients. So you have to be able to help yourself before you can help other people. So make sure you're taking the time to recharge your batteries and take care of yourself. So today we're going to cover a few things. We're going to discuss the difference between being an order taker versus being a trusted advisor. We're also going to show you how to create extra revenue without having to create extra effort. We'll talk about the Medicare transition. We'll also show you the different tools and resources that we have available to all of our URL Insurance Group partners. We'll discuss your competitors and who your competitors are and what they're doing, and we'll also discuss your relationships. So we'll be discussing all of these things, and it's really just a way to show you the linkage between Medicare and where Medicare can propel you into other areas in the insurance industry. And if I were to talk to anybody that's brand new to the industry and they said, what would be the best way to get started? Where can I find the most leads? Where should I begin? The answer that I usually give somebody is look into Medicare. There are so many people that are aging into Medicare every day, every month, every year that you help them with Medicare, and that may open the door to other sales. So we're going to discuss all of that. Now, as you're here listening to the presentation, you're like, oh, URL just wants me to get out there and sell. Well, keep in mind that, yes, we want you to get out there and sell. We want you to be successful. We want you to be able to have the best year ever financially each and every year. So the tools that we come across and the different resources that we have, we've done a lot of research here to help you so that you can implement some of these things into your business practices, and hopefully it'll pay some dividends. So we're trying to reduce the amount of time that you have to take in order to search different ways to increase your revenue. We've done all of that for you. So let's get into our presentation today. Which one describes you? There is an order taker and a trusted advisor. We'll discuss the order taker. Now, there are some Medicare producers out there that they will meet with their prospects. They will listen to what the client tells them that they need. After listening to it, you're going to make some suggestions. You'll provide rates. You're going to fill out the paperwork, and then really you basically shake their hands, wish them happy holidays, have a great year, and you're on to the next prospect. And I know that the Medicare open enrollment time is such a limited time that you really can't get in there and dive deep into a person's life to find out what works and what doesn't work. With an order taker, you might follow up with that person the next year. You're kind of relying on that person just renewing next year. You hope that maybe they'll pass on your name, and you're more or less reactive. You're getting you're getting the appointment because maybe you spent money on leads, or somebody said, oh, talk to this person, they helped you with Medicare. So you're more or less reactive and waiting for somebody to call you versus you calling them. A trusted advisor does a lot of the same things that an order taker does, where they meet with the clients. You listen to what the clients tell you that they need, you make some suggestions, but you get to know the client more. You ask some really good questions. And it's not necessarily to make any kind of sales, because you know with compliance and everything, you really can't cross-sell at that point of sale. But you're listening and you're taking notes, whether it's mental notes or you're writing down some notes. You make some suggestions, you provide rates, you fill out the paperwork, submit it, but you're making notes for future contact. You have to go on to that next prospect because you have to meet with so many different people because you're on a limited time, but you routinely follow up. You've made notes, whether it's in your computer system that basically says this is when this person's birthday is, and you send out birthday cards. You may make a phone call, check in on them, send them some letters. Maybe you have a newsletter that you send out, but you're routinely following up. The client sees your name a few times throughout the year, and you ask for referrals when you're talking to somebody so that you can have an opportunity to help serve other people, and you're more proactive. Obviously, as you're listening to all these things, there's just a few extra steps that the trusted advisor is taking versus an order taker. You're getting to know the client more. You're asking some questions. You are following up. You're asking for referrals, and you're being proactive. Which one of these describes you right now? Are you an order taker, or are you a trusted advisor? Hopefully you're a trusted advisor. If you are an order taker, take note of some of the things that a trusted advisor does. It does not take much of an effort to be able to go from an order taker to a trusted advisor. Some of the qualities of a trusted advisor: you listen and you focus on the client. By listening to what the client has to say, it's going to give you the key to unlocking future services that they may need. You're also focusing on the defining problem, and you're finding solutions, and you're doing the right thing each and every time. It's not necessarily about making a buck as it is helping the client. By helping the client, you're going to be giving yourself the opportunity to help other people as well. And it may not pay dividends right away, but it will pay dividends in the long run. You also believe in selling and serving all at the same time. Those are qualities of a trusted advisor. And you have that competitive drive where you're trying to find new ways to be of a greater service to the client. So if you're a one-trick pony and all you do is Medicare, we're here to help you find new ways to be of a greater service to the client, whether it's selling annuities, long-term care, life insurance, final expense insurance, ancillary products, or being greater service, maybe not helping that person, but maybe their family members. These are all qualities of a trusted advisor. So how do you create revenue without having to create extra effort? So when you go on a Medicare appointment, you're meeting with the Medicare client. You're going over the different plan generalities, whether there's any changes that have taken place to their current plan, maybe their drug plans and stuff like that. So you're going over some of the different changes and going over the different rates. You research some of the best options and you make some suggestions to the client. So as you're discussing all of these things and you're trying to build a rapport, keep in mind that people, especially in the Medicare industry, that person is sitting down and meeting with you when they could have met with a bunch of different people. They've decided that they are going to sit down and meet with you. So it makes sense to go over all these plans and kind of build that relationship. So you're going to fill out the paperwork, you're going to submit the paperwork, and you go on to the next appointment. So when you're meeting with somebody, why don't you keep some notes? Whether it's mental notes, just asking questions. Do you have any children or grandchildren? So what do you do? How are you? What's your source of income? Are you retired? Do you have to work part-time? Make notes of these things. Then find out what their goals and their wishes are. Maybe it is that they don't outlive their income, or maybe their goal is to leave an inheritance to their children or their grandchildren, or to pay for college for their children or grandchildren. What are they passionate about? Do they volunteer somewhere? Are they passionate at their church or their place of worship? Are they active in a community center or some nonprofit? What are their passions? Find these things out, just asking these questions. What are their fears and concerns? And listen to their answers. If you have a file folder, make some notes on the file folder about this. And if you ever come across any articles about something that they're passionate about, send that out to the client. But these are all great ways to create extra revenue, because what this is doing is these are the different keys to helping you unlock different sales opportunities. And you're being subtle about it. You're doing it with the idea of getting to know more about the person than just trying to get that sale. But at the same time, keep in mind that the answers are the key to your success. So if somebody is afraid of outliving their income, perhaps annuities is a great way to help preserve their income. Maybe they're a low income person. Maybe they're on a Medicare Advantage plan. They don't have a lot of money, but their biggest fear is that they're going to leave debt to their family when they pass away, whether it's medical bills or if there's credit card debts, funeral expenses. That would be an opportunity for life insurance or a final expense plan. And we'll get into more in the details about life insurance and final expense insurance here in just a few minutes. Maybe the person's concerned that as they get older, their health is going to start failing them and they're going to have to go into a nursing home. Perhaps you can protect their income and their assets by getting them a long-term care plan. Or maybe they need some ancillary plans like vision and dental, things like some off-the-wall, not necessarily off-the-wall stuff, but just things that they may not think about. So these are just some different ways to create revenue without creating a need for any extra effort. You're just asking a few questions, getting to know them, and then when you come across certain opportunities, you can throw these ideas out to the client at a later date. Obviously, you don't want to do it during the point of sale because it's not compliant. So let's take a look at the Medicare transition. And before we do that, one of the easiest transitions, one of the easiest products to discuss when you're talking to a Medicare client is life insurance, more specifically a final expense life insurance policy. And why do I say that? Just like Medicare plans are designed for older people that have pre-existing medical conditions, that's for health insurance side of things. The life insurance side, final expense, is designed for the same type of people. Older clients that may have some pre-existing medical conditions, they're on a limited budget. So these are all things, so that's your final expense policies or final expense plans and Medicare plans are all going after that same person, the same person. We'll get into that in more detail. But let's take a look at who is a Medicare client right now. And I know that there are Medicare plans out there for younger people for pre-existing medical conditions or whatever, what have you. But for the majority of the Medicare clients, we're looking at people that are ages 65 years of age and older. It represents that's the baby boomer generation. It represents 44% of the US population today. They still read newspapers and magazines. Some of them are getting involved in social media, but they still have those magazine subscriptions. They still get their newspaper delivered at the end of their driveway or on their front porch every day. 65% of the baby boomers are still working, and they have to work past the age of 65. And some of you may be baby boomer, maybe you're a child of a baby boomer. I'm a child of a baby boomer. Baby boomers are known for equal rights, free love. They're the hippies, peace, love, taking risks. They're self-reliant and they're independent. They're also rebellious. They kind of bucked the system back in the 60s and 70s, and they avoided long-term planning. They lived for the here and now. Those are some of the traits of a baby boomer, anyone that's about 65 years of age and older. So now when we take a look at how that transitions from Medicare to final expense, the Medicare client. Again, routinely speaking, they're 65 years of age and older. They're retired, or maybe they're on a fixed income. Pre-existing medical issues, heart attacks, cancers, strokes, a list of diabetes, a list of other things. Some of those Medicare clients, more specifically Medicare Advantage clients, are clients that have a limited budget. But all Medicare clients, all baby boomers, they want to maintain their independence. They don't want to be a burden, a financial burden, a physical burden on their family, and they are willing to trust you and your advice. A final expense client. The final expense plans start around age 50. Some start at a younger age, but they usually max out at issue age of 85. Some of the final expense clients are going to be on a retired or a fixed income. They may have some pre-existing medical conditions as well. They may have a limited budget. They want to maintain their independence. They don't want to burden their family financially or physically, and they are willing to trust you and your advice. When you take a look at the Medicare client and the final expense client, they're the same people. The difference is people that have an income to protect or people that don't have an income and they just don't want to leave a financial mess. They want to leave something for their family to help pay for their funeral, medical bills, to bridge that gap of income loss in the event of their death. The list goes on and on. Or it could just leave a little bit of money for their children or their grandchildren to go to college. There's a bunch of different reasons why people would purchase a life insurance policy. But keep in mind, your Medicare client could ultimately turn into your final expense client. So here are some ways to help narrow down whether the person is in need of a final expense policy. We have 5 questions that you can ask. You don't want to ask all 5 of them. You pick one that you think is going to open the door to getting the client to talk. Nobody wants to talk about dying. It's an uncomfortable topic, but if you think about it, we're in this business where we're talking about health insurance and life insurance. So we're talking about getting sick, and we're talking about dying with life insurance. So when you kind of put that into perspective, having this conversation, it's really opening the door to having a dialogue about what their final wishes are. So question number 1, and some of you may have seen these questions before. It is on our website, but I would just want to go over this real quick. Have you or someone ever been responsible for making funeral arrangements, and how did it go, and were there financial problems? So I think especially when you're talking to baby boomers, they've probably already had to say goodbye to their parents, or maybe one or both of their parents. Maybe they were the ones that were responsible for making funeral arrangements. Did it go well? That's a question you can ask. Did it go well? Were there financial problems? Usually if it didn't go well, I'm sure the money was probably the root of it. And that's where a final expense life insurance policy or just a life insurance policy would help alleviate some of those stresses. If it went well, chances are there was money, mom or dad or both had everything planned out. They already had their money set aside where they knew what they were doing. Keep in mind that generation, our baby boomers' parents, they were pretty good with their money. They weren't ones that lived on credit. They saved their money. Keep in mind they lived through the Depression, so they knew how to save their money. But baby boomers, they may have some issues there where there may be some financial problems in the event of their death. Question number 2. If you were to have passed away yesterday, who's going to be responsible for paying or for your funeral arrangements, and are they financially prepared? You'll probably get the answer, oh, my wife or my husband or my son or my daughter or grandson or granddaughter, someone like that. Maybe it's a niece or nephew. First question when they say that is, are they aware that they're going to be the ones responsible for making those arrangements? And the big question is, are they financially prepared? It gets somebody thinking, is there enough money to pay for that funeral? If the answer to that is no, they're not ready, then that's a conversation to have where final expense or a life insurance policy may be the answer to that solution, that potential problem. Question number 3. This works if the client has a spouse that's still working, or maybe they're still working. Maybe it's even part-time. If you were to have passed away yesterday, does your spouse have enough savings to protect against the immediate loss of your income? A life insurance policy could bridge that gap, that loss of income. Perhaps they were helping pay off that mortgage. Maybe the house wasn't paid off. So they can get that income from the life insurance policy to help continue to make their mortgage payments while they get their financial situation in order. Maybe they have to sell, but they don't have to sell right away. Maybe it'll buy them some time to stay in that house for a year or two before they ultimately have to sell. So they can actually get the best price they can get for that house that they have to sell. There's a bunch of different things that they can do, but this just gets them to think about what life insurance is all about, and that is to help protect against the financial loss. Question number 4, and this is more geared towards widows and widowers that may have a child or a grandchild that would be responsible for paying for their funeral. Are you aware that your bank accounts and assets are not always immediately available to your children upon your death? Keep in mind a life insurance policy, this is Insurance 101, insurance policies avoid probate and they avoid taxes. So that means that the money gets paid to the beneficiary right away. Bank accounts and other assets get locked up in probate for a while. So that money is not readily available to the child or grandchild to pay for that funeral and pay the funeral home. And funeral homes want to know that they're getting paid. Where a life insurance policy, they know that there's going to be money there. They'll know that they're getting paid for their services. So that's where a life insurance policy is a great way to pass on assets to avoid probate and also to avoid taxes. And question number 5, if you don't take out a life insurance policy, what alternative plan are you going to use for your family? Some people will say, well, I'll just contact the funeral home and I'll just give them $50 a month. Well, if you died 3 months after paying $50, that's $150. The services may cost $10,000. So the family still has to come up with the difference. Where a life insurance policy, if you put $50 a month and you died 3 months into it, you've paid the insurance company $150. A $10,000 death benefit or whatever death benefit they pick is going to get paid directly to the beneficiary. There is no, you don't have to make up the difference. So those are just some options there. Some people say, I'll just put my money in the bank and save it. Well, we all know that people don't have the discipline to do that. And then it also goes back to number 4, bank accounts and assets are not readily available immediately to children and grandchildren upon the death. So there's different opportunities there where life insurance is a solution to some of these questions and some of these potential issues that your client might have. Now keep in mind, you've helped the client when it comes to their Medicare, their health insurance. This is just showing that you're looking to be more of an advisor to them than you are just to look for that sale. Yes, you're looking for that sale, but you're also taking it a step further than just leaving it as where you're a one-trick pony with just selling Medicare. Moving on. Final expense life insurance. As I said, those 5 questions that I showed you, the answer to alleviating some of those issues, depending on how they answer the question, a final expense life insurance policy could be the answer to that, where you're going to give them that peace of mind. So what are some of the traits of a final expense life insurance policy? Well, first of all, they're affordable for most budgets. A lot of people, when you think about selling life insurance, you think about selling a death benefit. With final expense, it's actually the inverse, where you're selling a budget. Can you afford $25 a month? You'll ask the client, or can you afford $50 a month? Can you afford $100 a month, or something in between? Let them tell you how much they can reasonably afford each month. And then by taking that dollar amount, you'll be able to find them the highest death benefit for their budget. So it's affordable for most budgets. It is easy to qualify for a final expense life insurance policy. As I'd mentioned before, a final expense life insurance policy is really a life insurance policy designed with seniors in mind. These clients may have had a heart attack, may have had stroke, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Final expense companies don't care. If the client hasn't had a heart attack, cancer, or stroke in the last 2 years, they can qualify for a plan. If the client has diabetes, but they're not experiencing any complications to that, they can still qualify for a good plan. The client could have COPD, but they're not on oxygen. They can still qualify for one of these plans. And I'm not just talking guaranteed issue. Guaranteed issue, there are no medical questions. Those are for people that may currently have cancer. Maybe they have loss of limbs. Maybe they are on oxygen, or maybe they're on kidney dialysis. Guaranteed issue and final expense life insurance plans, they are very similar, but there's also some differences there. A final expense life insurance policy is designed to give your clients peace of mind. Nobody wants to leave their children or their grandchildren or their family with any bills, or basically left holding the bag, so to speak. This helps leave some money behind. It's basically a gift of love, a gift that when they pass away, when your client passes away, that they had enough thought for their family that they wanted to leave a little bit of something for their client. And leaving a little bit of something is better than leaving a lot of nothing. Final expense life insurance policies are very easy to explain, and they are easy to understand. And what I mean by that is they're a fixed rate and it's a fixed death benefit. So you show the client that you pay X amount of dollars each month or each year, however they want to pay, and they're guaranteed to get this set death benefit amount. As long as they pay this, they get that. So there isn't a lot of these moving parts. It is a whole life policy. These policies are designed that as long as the premiums are paid, they are not going to outlive the coverage. The rates are never going to increase, even if they have any changes to their health, or even as they get older. So you're locking in their insurability today, knowing that some point down the road, that benefit is going to be paid out to their beneficiary. And another nice thing about final expense life insurance plans, they're not ordering medical exams. They're not having to, you don't have to order medical records. These policies are issued quickly. Usually, some companies will issue policies same day. Some companies will issue in a couple of business days, but these policies are issued quickly. There isn't a lot of work there. They do a good job of eliminating a lot of the guesswork. The questions on the application are yes and no. Some companies require a phone interview, some don't. But that's where I come into play here. That's where I can help you with deciphering what's going to be the best company. But because these policies are issued quickly, guess what? You get paid quickly too. So you're not waiting weeks and months. Most of these companies pay within about 48 hours of approval or placement. And you get that money right up front in your checking account. The carrier pays you directly. So the stuff that you do throughout the year, you're getting paid right away, as opposed to all that work that you've done. And this is not a dig at Medicare, but all that work that you've done these last couple of weeks and couple of months for Medicare, you're not going to see a check until after January. And we're going into the holiday season, and you may need some of that money now. That's where a final expense life insurance policy, there's an advantage to selling that now. And agents that are doing Medicare and final expense are doing very well with that, and they've seen the linkage there. And we'll get into more of that here. I get asked from time to time, what's the average cost of a funeral? And it's usually if they're looking for a burial where there's a casket involved, and this is not the cremation part of it, you're looking at about $9,000 to $10,000. And these rates do change. The price of these things do change depending on where you live in the country. Some of the cities, there's more taxes involved and more services and more fees that are tacked on, but you're looking at about $9,000 to $10,000. And for some of our clients, if you think about it, if you think about some of your clients that you've worked with during open enrollment for Medicare, $9,000, $10,000 throw on top of medical bills, credit card bills, loss of income. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for some of our clients. So that's where a life insurance policy can kind of help alleviate some of those financial struggles. Now, when we're telling you all these different linkages and all that final expense and Medicare there's a marriage between those two products, it's really more or less like an upsell where you're selling them a Medicare plan and you're asking if they want to supersize it with a life insurance policy. If you go out to any restaurant and you order something, they're going to make some suggestions. I like to use it if you go to a fancy steakhouse and you order a nice cut of meat. They'll ask you, oh, would you like some onions, some grilled onions, or some mushrooms to go on top of that? Of course, the restaurant's going to charge you about $5 extra or $10 extra for both things. Adds extra flavor or whatever it is, but they're upselling it. And that's exactly what you're doing. So as we're telling you and showing you all of these different ways to help upsell and cross-sell, keep in mind we have all of the tools and resources that are available to you. We have different agent guides that are available, postcards, the list goes on and on. We have turnkey letters that you can copy and paste onto your own letterhead and send out to your Medicare clients. So we have the sales and marketing support right at your disposal because you will work with URL. You're partnering with URL. We have the agent guides. We have consumer materials, client letters. If you do group presentations at maybe some senior centers, we have the group presentation materials as well. We have referral forms. We have numerous carriers that you can show your client, that you're showing them the top carriers that and the best rates for their particular need. Some facts and figures. This was done a 2016 insurance barometer study by LIMRA. 42% of Americans say that they are concerned about burdening their family or burdening others with their funeral expenses. When people buy a life insurance policy, 85% of the people that purchased insurance said it was to cover burial and other final expenses. A final expense policy is the number one reason for somebody buying life insurance. That's the number one reason that somebody ever bought life insurance, is to cover burial and other expenses. We've got you covered there. Now, if you're not comfortable with selling life insurance or selling some of these other products out there, whether it's annuities and whatnot, we do have a program, and it's called the Orion Concierge Advisor Services. For those of you that have partnered with URL for a while, You probably have heard of the Orion program. Some of you may have already taken advantage of the Orion program. So you have options when you work with us. You can go at it on your own, where we're going to coach you on the products to sell, how to get rates, how to sell the product, how to complete the application, and all that. Maybe you just don't want to bother with it. Then you can consider using the Orion Advisor Services Program. What is that? Well, it's basically like a referral program where on your request, you ask us to work with your clients. And we do the work where we'll call the client, we'll discuss the different options with them, and then we split the commission with you. We're here to help you build stronger relationships with your clients. This is a way for you to add additional revenue without having to do the extra work. You're also diversifying your services when you use the Orion program. And we are going to be treating your clients just how you would treat them. You can be rest assured. And the client is still your client. We're not looking to build a book of business. We're helping you, and we want to help you diversify your services. We want to help you grow stronger relationships and add additional revenue. So let me show you. If you did final expense, you have the option of going independent or doing the Orion program. The average commission for final expense is about $600 a year. So if you just did 10 sales independently, contacting 10 of your clients, and some of you are sitting on some pretty hefty Medicare books, where 10 sales is very easy, you're going to look at an extra $6,000 in your pocket. Now, if you didn't want to do that and you just wanted us to contact your client on your request, that'll equate to about $3,000 in your pocket. You didn't do anything but give us a name and a phone number. And you can see the list goes on and on. 20 sales, $12,000 or $6,000. It's just very simple math. Now, as we're talking about the different facts and figures of what you can earn selling final expense, let me explain something to you. And this is another reason why cross-selling is very important and very vital, especially to the Medicare agent. Your competition, they're ordering leads, they're calling your clients. They're spending thousands of dollars a month to try to get their foot in the door, to meet with your clients, to sell them final expense, to sell them annuities, to sell them long-term care. This is what your competition is doing. And if you let your competition, by not expanding your services, by not helping your clients and letting your clients know that you can help them with life insurance, you can help them with long-term care, annuities, whatever it is, your competition is going to get in there, and they're going to talk to them about a final expense plan or whatever it is. And what's stopping them from contacting your client next year during open enrollment? Maybe they do both, or maybe they're not. They just don't pigeonhole themselves into Medicare. So, or maybe they just don't do final expense. Maybe they do it all. So what is keeping them from stealing your client? And I get it. It takes a lot of effort. Nobody wants to be a high pressure salesperson, but all you're doing is asking them some questions. You're getting to know them and find out what makes them tick. So it's just like a professional athlete or an actor or an actress, an artist. They have to practice their craft in order to be good. You are an insurance professional. You're a Medicare professional. You're a professional. You have to practice your craft. And by practicing, it means you have to ask. You're going to get some no's. But one of the articles that I read not too long ago just said, just ask them. Give your clients the opportunity to say no, and you will be surprised by how often they say yes. Now, knowing what life insurance does, and I've been in the insurance business now for over 20 years, knowing what life insurance does, you're taking your relationships to the next level. So one of the sayings that I saw, this really kind of speaks volumes. My job is to ask you about life insurance. Please don't make it my job to tell your family you didn't have any. Some agents will even say, I will ask clients because people are in such a mood of trying to sue. So if you are their insurance person and you help their mother or father or their whoever it is, with their Medicare, the family can come back and say, well, why didn't you talk to my mom or my dad about life insurance? And then they basically say you didn't work in their best interest. You're covering your rear end is what you're doing. Ask your client about life insurance. Don't make it your job to tell their family that they didn't have any. Another one that really speaks volumes is if every wife knew what every widow knows, life insurance would never have to be sold. So if every wife knew what every widow knows, life insurance would never have to be sold. So I do have a little bit of a homework assignment, if you will. While we're discussing all these different opportunities that are available, and we're coming off of the Medicare AEP, I know we're getting into the holiday season, and I know, as I said before, you have 1,000,001 other things that you could be doing right now. You've taken the time to listen to what I had to say. I hope that you have found that some of this stuff makes sense. I'm here to help you decipher and kind of to help you help your clients. But here's something that you might want to take me up on here. If you've done Medicare for 2019, getting ready for the 2020 year with your Medicare clients, pick 3 people in your book of business that you've met during the AEP. Now, I'm talking about Medicare Advantage clients. I think that our annuity solutions people would be very happy if you also thought about annuity clients. Maybe it's the Medicare clients that have Cadillac plans and they are afraid that they're going to outlive their money. That's something for annuity solutions. But if we're talking about final expense and that relationship and the correlation between a final expense life insurance policy and a Medicare plan, look at your Medicare Advantage clients. These are the people that are paying zero out of pocket. They may have some deductibles and stuff like that. Think about 3 of Medicare Advantage clients. If you want to take me up on this offer, send me the list of your 3 clients. Give me their name. It could just be their first name. If they have an odd first name, let me know if they're a male or a female, and let me know what their needs are. Maybe it's a life insurance policy. Maybe they have a particular budget in mind. We can discuss how to approach these clients with letters, phone calls, whatever it is. We can make a game plan together. And the idea here is to show you that by doing a little bit of cross-selling, that you'll see that it will pay dividends. It may not happen with these first 3 people, but you'll get into a routine where you go through your book of business and then you send out some letters and then you have a conversation with them. So if you want me to show you how to do this, feel free to send me a list of your clients. My email address is coming. My contact information is coming. Try to do that before the first of the year. So we've got a couple weeks yet before the end of the year. I know that the holidays and Christmas and all that stuff's getting thrown in there next week, but it's something that we can certainly take a look at together. Usually that time between Christmas and New Year's is a great time to have a conversation because there's not a lot going on. So give me a call. Pick 3 people. Send me the list of your clients' names, dates of birth, their needs. I will contact you. We'll talk about those clients. We'll make a game plan. So really, it's a matter of getting started today. How much additional revenue do you want to make? We're coming up at the end of the year. Now's the time to start making that 2020 plan. If you're just kind of winging it and going into 2020 like you did 2019, you're not going to see that growth. Set a goal. Let's make a plan. We'll get to work. If we have to make some adjustments, we can do that. We'll stick to the plan, and you'll see that where you start in 2020 and where you finish in 2020 should be better than where you were in 2019. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you might have. Again, this is any questions that you have pertaining to final expense life insurance and how to cross-sell. I'm here for that. And let me put my email address and all that stuff on the screen here for you. You can contact me. My direct line is 717-216-8041. That's 717-216-8041. My national toll-free number is 800-926-8875, extension 141. But more importantly, my email address is matta, M-A-T-T-A, at URL insgroup.com. Like I said before, take me up on sending me the names of your clients, 3 clients, and then we'll come up with a game plan and see how we can get a sale out of that. You have competition out there, and I'm here to help you keep that competition out of the way and help you keep that client for the remainder of their life, and it'll open the door to family and their friends and so on. So you'll go from being an order taker to a trusted advisor. So go ahead and ask me any questions that you might have. I know that we do get a lot of questions at the after we've parted ways. So take my name and number down again. My direct line is 717-216-8041. I'll wait a few more seconds here to see if there's any questions, or you can raise your hand and I can unmute your phone or your computer speakers, and you can ask your question aloud. I'm not seeing any questions coming in, so I will say we'll just part ways at this point. Again, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules, your hectic schedules, to join me for today's presentation. I hope that you found some useful tidbits of information here. And again, give your clients, just ask your clients and give them a reason or an opportunity to tell you no. And I'm sure you'll be surprised at how many people will actually say yes. Until next time, thank you very much. Have a great holiday season. And as we go into the new year, have a great, happy, healthy, prosperous new year. Until next time, take care, everybody, and we will talk to you soon.